This is the Average Guy Network, and you have found Home Gadget Geeks, show number 184, which is really hard to believe, recorded on September 11th, 2014. Here at Home Gadget Geeks, we cover all your favorite tech gadgets that come with news, reviews, product updates, and information, all for the average tech guy. I'm your host, Jim Collison, broadcasting live from the Average Guy.TV studios here in Bellevue, Nebraska, and getting a chilly. I got the sweatshirt on tonight, so a chilly Bellevue, Nebraska, and we post the show with world-class show notes each week, although I got shorts on, I'll just be honest with you, out at the Average Guy.TV. If you have questions, comments, or contributions, you can contact the show. Send me an email, it's just Jim at theaverageguy.tv. Find me on Twitter at jcollison. And now call in those questions, 402. You should write this down unless you're driving. 402-478-8450. Give us a call. Crank it. Leave us something funny. That's really what I'd like, to be honest with you. I'm done trying to get actual questions from you guys because you're just not doing it. So call me. Send me a joke. Make it funny. If it's really funny, good funny text something, we'll play it live on the show, and you can be famous. And so, again, 402-478-8450. We'll play it right here on the program. And now Home Gadget Geeks is a part of the new and improved Geeks Network. If you haven't been out there in a while, you should check it out. I know I complained about it for a while, but go out to thegeeksnetwork.com. Dave and I have been doing updates. More Dave than me, but I did get it fixed. All the links work now. And so even a new podcast has been added, thegeeksnetwork.com. Join us in chat, watch and listen live on YouTube and on Spreaker, and find all the navigation you'll ever need out at theaverageguy.tv. All right, we have a cool show. We've been setting this up for the last, 4 or 5 weeks, it seems like, and excited to talk about some copters. I put drones in copters. I'll admit, drones was just a link bait. But we're going to talk some copters. And across from me, and a guy we haven't really even seen you, I think, since the meetup. We've talked back and forth, but have we done much? Keith Lunsford. Keith, how are you?
No, I don't think so. I'm great. How are you doing, Jim?
I am doing very well. Tell me, let's just catch up with you a smidge. What's been keeping you busy? You're in the Colorado area, but what's been keeping you busy?
Yeah, I'm in Denver. I've been working a lot. I sell commercial door products. I spend a lot of time with architects and such. And construction is probably one of the few people that that I know you communicate with that aren't in tech. It's a big hobby, but it's a big passion, but definitely not what I do for a living. My industry is so backwards compared to the tech industry.
Yeah, but this is you're my target audience, right? Is that you're the guy you're a tech enthusiast. Your other job, I think of like a Tim Black. Your other job is he works at a grocery store, and you're you do that, but. That's what makes this good. That's what I love about this community is just a bunch of guys. We just want to talk tech, so it's good to have you on.
Exactly. I appreciate it. It's pretty crappy weather here, too. It's been raining for days. We had 94 degrees Thursday, and that's probably the last 90s we'll see until June. So it's
and maybe some snow
crazy.
in the higher elevations, right?
There was snow on Vail Pass a couple days ago, and I've got a golf tournament tomorrow. I think we're teeing off at 7, and it's going to be 30 degrees.
Yeah, and like you guys should have a sign. You should have at the state line that says "No natural disasters," and then it's like a number of days.
Exactly.
That turn on you. It seems like Colorado has just gotten slammed.
Yeah, it's been crazy. We had all those floods, which just happened a year ago, a couple days ago. So
yeah, it's the anniversary of those floods. Is that what it was?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was. There's still some towns that are trying to heal from it, but everyone's pretty much recovered.
Yeah, we made it up to Colorado Springs this summer, and my brother lives up in Black Forest, and of course that burned down last summer.
Yeah.
And his house was miraculously spared somehow, and. As we were driving up the hill into Black Hills, I was like, oh, this isn't too bad. We were seeing, just a few trees charred and stuff. And then we really got back in there. And it's just, they have gutted it. And, man, it's a little depressing to pull up to a plot and all that's left is the chimney.
Right, exactly. All that's left, one little piece of brick or something, and little foundation.
No, kind of crazy. So it's been, it was an interesting summer to go back, but we're glad you're safe and sound. And, I will remind folks just real quick before we get started, Meetup is coming coming just in a couple weeks. Although by the time you're hearing this, if you're listening to the recorded version, I'm probably already on my way there. So September 20th, out in Indianapolis, and the links are out in the show notes if you want to check that out. If you haven't done it by now, we've got about 35 that have signed up, and we're looking forward to having just a few more. And that's okay. We were about 50 last year, and it was about the max number we could actually get in that room. Probably too many.
We may have busted a couple fire codes.
Well, we definitely got the fire department called on us while we were there for the smoke machine. But no smoke machine this year, and Jim's the DJ, so I'm bringing all the sound equipment out and responsible for all that in the music. And so we're putting that on. If you haven't signed up for it, you can check that out. And then one thing I'll put up in the beginning of the show, if you haven't signed up for the newsletter, it's actually gone over really well. I've had 30 or 35 of you guys sign up for that so far. And just go out to theaverageguy.tv, look in the right-hand toolbar, and it'll say sign up for tag newsletter. That's a monthly newsletter that I'm going to put out that just has some miscellaneous information from me. Amazingly enough, a lot of the guys don't get involved in social media. And it makes sense to me. I get it. And it's been amazing, Keith, as I've asked for feedback from folks. Mm-hmm. And I've had 2 now, maybe 3, say, thank you for doing this newsletter. I didn't want to do social media, and that's really the only way to get a hold of you for the most part. Right. And so or that we hear from you besides the podcast. So I was surprised. I held off on doing a newsletter for a long time. I was like, that's archaic. Nobody
marketing.
Nobody really wants it.
Yeah.
Well, what I found out is there's a segment here that really does. So if you want to hear from me once a month, all the links, all that stuff that we talk about on the show, sign up, go out to theaverageguy.tv, find the newsletter link, put your email address in there. I won't spam you. One time a month is all I'm going to send stuff to you, and even some months I may forget. So nice. You won't get any more than that. That's available, and go sign up out there. All right.
Nice. And one thing I like about the mailing list is I don't always get around to getting back to the website to check the show notes because there's always links I want to check. But when they come to me, I can either read the email or not. But it's really nice to have those show notes and some of those links come right to you.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm hoping is that you can. And then I've got some reference links in there as well that will help you if you're like, where was that thing that he was talking about? And so that's available for you. So if you want to go out and check that out. And, of course, we say thanks for using the Amazon affiliate link, and that's going gangbusters. We started one for Canada. Let me just remind you, the U.S. one only works in the U.S. The Canadian one only works in Canada. So if you go out to theaverageguy.tv and look at any of the posts, and it's really easy to remember. It's just theaverageguy.tv/Amazon for the U.S. or Amazon CA for Canada. Any proceeds from the Canada link will go to John Zadler. John's gonna buy equipment to test it. John, he'll tear stuff up, right? We're gonna get great reviews from John. So if you want to support Zadler in Canada, we've set up an affiliate link for him. And if you are a Canadian purchaser, you might as well use it anyways because it doesn't do me any good. If you've been using it, I don't get credit for anything you buy in Canada. They don't. Those affiliate links do not work across countries. And so use the Canada code and benefit the average guy. You guys have done a great job of funding the Tech Scholarship Fund, and so I appreciate that. We've been able to buy some equipment for guys. I've also used it to buy some sound equipment. Christian and now Ashton on Cyber Frontiers are doing a great job. They're on a bi-weekly schedule now, every other week. And Ashton didn't have the right equipment, and I was able to use the Tech Scholarship Fund to get him an inexpensive arm. Keith, do you have yours on an arm, or is it sitting on the table?
It's on an arm. Yeah, I've got it on.
Which one did you get?
It's kind of a cheesy one. Looks like a little lamp, and it was about $28 or so. Kind of clamps to the side of the table, and then I got the shock mount for it as well.
Yeah. So. I bought the $99 Road one, right? That's
really
kind
nice.
of the Cadillac of it, right?
Yeah.
But you don't have to have that one. We shipped a $25 one, like yours, I think, to Ashton, that and to have him review it. So we'll put some links in there just to see how good that one is. Maybe you can send me the link for your arm that you have there so we can compare them. And then Schoonover said, hey, I found an even cheaper one for $15, same company, for $15. And he bought that and is going to try that. So we'll have a whole bunch of different options if you want to take your microphone, and put it on an arm like this and do that. you can we'll have some reviews out there, and that's what the Tech Scholarship Fund is for, and that's what when you guys purchase through the Amazon affiliate link, that's the way it works. So
You bet. Yeah, I bought a shock mount. I'd give you the model number, but unfortunately, it doesn't fit the ATR 2100. So I've got an ace bandage wrapped around my mic to hold it in the shop mount.
Nice. That is rigging it. I like it. Well, there's if you go out to theaverageguy.tv/gear, I have a My Studio. I think it's called an MY325. That's like $12. It's the one I'm using right here.
Right.
It's not worth $12, but it's a good. I mean, it's worth like $3. That's what it costs to make this thing. But it's a great little, and it fits the ATR 2100 if you're going to do it this way. So
yeah, it looks great.
these are they're nice and easy, and it works out really, really well. So it's the MY325, I think, out there at theaverageguy.tv/gear. All right, enough selling Amazon crap. Although that's what we do here. So if you're interested in buying that kind of stuff, I'm getting more and more people asking me about podcast stuff, and so I created a gear page that's kind of got everything, including the lighting that we have up and stuff like that. So if you want to go out and take a peek. All right, everybody came tonight to hear about copters. So Keith, let me ask you this. Let's start in this discussion. John Nye is going to join us as soon as he can.
You bet.
What got you going on this, right? Because this is an expensive little hobby you got going on here with these copters, right? What got you started?
I've been running RC cars and stuff for years. I actually had, I was 14, 15 years old with a newspaper route, and I had a $600 gas-powered helicopter that didn't last more than a week. I totally destroyed it. They were so complicated to operate, and so I went back with the cars. When you wreck them, at least they don't fall to the ground. It's a lot simpler. I had some gas-powered cars and such. That's always been fun. And then I went with the little mall helicopters you see flying around. They've got gyroscopes built in them. You can fly them in the house, but they don't go outdoors at all. You know, that they only weigh a few ounces, and it just never went well. My 7-year-old and I crashed a lot of those $100 helicopters. I've got a 7-year-old son. He's in 2nd grade, so I always give him the controls for a second or two, and hasn't always gone well.
Never ends well.
Exactly. And I've been thinking about getting a drone or a quadcopter for quite a while, and I actually heard on the podcast Nia was talking about he wanted the Hexcopter, and a day later I ordered it. Just right after hearing the podcast, I ordered it. Yeah.
And is this the one? What's the model on that? Is this the 550?
It's an Aerosky 550.
Okay, that's it right there. Hold on, let me lock the camera on. Whoop, there we go. Okay, keep it there. So that's the quad. Talk a little bit about it.
So it's about 2 feet across. It's got 6 individual motors. They're all low voltage motors. You can kind of see the front. There's 2 orange or red arms here with the orange props. So theoretically, you can find the front when it's flying. That's easier said than done. But you can kind of find the front. Inside, I don't have a gear cam, but inside there's a circuit board here that actually is a Arduino board. And on that board, it's got an amazing amount of technology. There's a gyroscope that functions. There's a barometer, so you can tell it knows the altitude. Obviously, a compass, and lots of controls to operate these 6 speed controllers. So there's really a lot going on in a little tiny board. So here's another one. This is actually a long story, but this is actually the size of the brain that's inside it. I see John's on.
Yes.
John is on. Hey, John, how are you?
Hey.
You may have me for the rest of the time or for 5 minutes. You never know. I've got to lay it down for the moment.
We'll take you. Yeah, we know, kids. We'll take you for as long as we can. We can have you on there, and
Absolutely.
And we'll kind of go from there.
You got the Aerosky, the 6 one.
I did. I bought the 550. It's the one you mentioned it.
Yeah,
and
it's a great one.
that's the one you said you were thinking about getting, and the next day I bought it.
I've been drooling over it, but I've still got the 4, which is currently broken. I still haven't fixed it.
No.
Well, the weather's been ugly, and kids, and all that fun stuff.
Do you have the Aerosky too, John?
Yes, I do. I have the quad one.
You
Yep.
have the Aerosky Quad. So what's the model number on that?
I believe 150.
I
Now I
think
need to
that's right.
That
Okay, let
sounds
me look.
right.
I'm
Now
just
I need
looking
to.
these up so that I
Oh, you
can
got it.
throw
Okay.
examples of
Perfect.
them into
And of
the
course, they have it on Amazon. That's where I bought
chat.
it.
Yeah,
And I think
I'm
the
throwing
Ready to
these in the chat
Fly
room.
was less than $300, so that's not bad.
Ready to
Yeah.
fly means like you pull it out of the
Everything.
box, you've got it, you're all set.
Yeah,
You're ready
more
to
or less.
go.
H100. That's the model.
Okay.
H100.
H1. Oh, okay. I put the 150 in there.
I'm
Let me
looking at
put
it
that.
right
But
now. And
it's
the
a
Ready to
Aerosky
Fly 240.
H150.
So it's really not bad. But of course,
Okay.
once you buy it, then you end up buying a bunch of other stuff for it. And
Like what? What else do you have to buy when
well,
you?
I bought extra batteries.
Right.
Was the first thing I bought, and those weren't too bad. And then I bought, let's see, I bought a different control board for it, which I still haven't put in. That's gonna be part of my new repair. But I've been messing with it. I got the multi-Wii, and it came with the GPS and all that fun stuff. But I've been learning Arduino so I can get it to work, right? Which is the first step. Which actually, the one in the Aerosky is an Arduino as well. So if you plug it into your computer, you still need the Arduino software, which is of course free. And then you can plug all that into there, and you can modify it and make it do. You can change it because the way it's set up out of the box is in super beginner mode, which does not mean it's super easy to fly by any means, but it is in quote unquote super beginner mode, and you can make it by adjusting the settings. You can actually make it do flips and stuff. You can make it really, but I adjusted the settings and that's why I crashed it. So
Nicely done, Keith. Let's talk about your unboxing and flying experience.
Oh, jeez.
Now, was this the original one that you bought, or did you send the other one? Because it was like the instructions were weird. And...
Oh, this is the same one.
Okay.
Man, it was painful. And John, I think you missed it. I used to fly. I've done RC cars forever. Had a chopper years ago that didn't go well, but that was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And I've been able to fly the little indoor helicopters. I do great with those, so I knew I could handle this. So I unboxed it, plugged it in, just like everybody says you have to do. The instructions are an absolute disaster.
Yeah, they were bad on the 4 too, on the quad.
In fact, they tell you how to set your settings on your radio, and they're wrong. If you do it like the radio says, you're going to flip it over as soon as you hit the throttle. So I did a bunch of research on YouTube and Googling it. There's a lot of information, but it all seems like it's missing something. Everything you find online is painful. So I hooked it up. I plugged it into my computer, like they said. Programmed it with multi-Wii, which seemed to go pretty well. And I took it outside, hit the throttle, flipped it upside down, and broke 3 props off of it. Replaced the props, got it going again, took it off real gently, and it went crazy. It went about 3 feet up, and then it jumped to 10, turned over, and broke a motor and an arm.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Keith, I mean, it's going. So it takes up off the ground. You
That's
get
right.
it up in the air. It just flips over on its own. Boom, right to the ground.
Exactly.
Okay.
Or it goes up and does a 90 and flies into a tree, or whatever happens to.
Why is it not stable out of the box? I mean, what's the?
It's supposed to be. I assumed I was programming it wrong. I went through troubleshooting, and I mean hours and hours of YouTube and just no information I could find anywhere. And there's some forums. You go on this forum, you ask the question, and it's the Steve Jobs response: "You're doing it wrong."
Yeah. Yep.
To be honest with you, I was ready to send it back, and then I figured out that I'd waited too long and I couldn't return it on Amazon.
Oh.
So I'm stuck with it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to bring up his name now, but I did find a guy in one of the forums that everybody said is the best, and I basically harassed him for a while, and he finally got back with these, same thing. He says, "You're doing it wrong." I kept like 3 or 4 more days of just harassing him on the forums. I finally got his email address. We emailed back and forth a couple times, and I finally got him to call me. So we got on our computers together. I plugged the computer into the Hexcopter. You can plug them right in. There's some great software, And through Team Viewer, we're doing a bunch of work, and he's finally like, something's not right. This controller's not working right. After a month of
and
wrecking this thing, the guy actually kind of took me under his wing. He shipped me his flight controller. Never even met me, just cell phone and a couple texts back and forth. He shipped me a new controller. We plugged it in, and I took it outside, and it crashed. Yeah, go figure. He had programmed everything for me, set it up for my copter. Came back in, found out one parameter was wrong, and I took it outside, and I haven't wrecked it since. I've got 30, 40 hours. I haven't been able to wreck this thing. So
you got me beat. I did about 15 before I broke it.
So I truly had a defective controller that just that was the end of it, and tech support is just a disaster on these things.
Oh yeah, no tech support, no. The company that's selling them, not Aerosky, but I don't remember off the top of my head, but the company, it's not actually Amazon. They supposedly are decent if you call them, but
right.
I've never attempted that.
I did talk to somebody, and he said you're doing it wrong. He emailed me all the current software. I uploaded it all, and it was exactly what I already had.
Mm-hmm.
And so even their tech support was bad. So it's
So Keith, where are you? So what's the status right now as of today? Where are you at with it?
It flies awesome.
Okay.
I can take it up. It'll fly perfectly level, 12 feet in the air, not move for 15 minutes until the battery's low, and then we land it. I can do anything I want with it.
You get some kind of notice on your controller when the battery's going low, so you can land.
Not on the controller. You guys stall for a second. I'm going to see if I can find the chip here.
Yeah, those things. And there's a couple options you can do as far as knowing about your battery. You can actually get a notice on your controller, or if you have the little Bluetooth, you could get a notice on your phone, which is relatively cheap to buy, or you can buy the thing that I bet he's going to show us, which is a little chip that makes an incredibly piercingly loud noise, so you can hear it.
Exactly. It's this little tiny chip. It's only about $4.
Mm-hmm.
And you see the little tiny screen on it, and then the two round things are both speakers, basically. So you can hear it from a few hundred feet away, and it'll tell you the voltage on the batteries, but when it gets to a predetermined location, it'll just start screaming at you. So it's
loud.
Yeah,
it's like
it's
an
loud.
Alarm loud, yeah.
Yeah, it hurts to go up and unplug it finally.
How much battery do you have when that thing starts going off then?
With it at the factory setting, I've got 3 or 4 minutes. And I probably get 15 minutes of flight time out of it right now, so it's usually enough notice. You don't have much time to do anything but bring it back to you, but it's nice.
Is there a return button? You can just say return to this location, and it'll just come right back to you?
That's an option. I don't have GPS on it yet.
Okay.
So John's probably played with that more than I have.
It's cool, yeah. You can do that where you can have it return to home, things along those lines. But I have not successfully gotten that working right.
Oh no!
I messed with it for like a week because I had a week off of school, and so I messed with it each night. And now I'm back in school, so it's kind of been sitting on the side.
Yeah,
Plus the weather is not cooperating right now.
No. Where do you live?
I'm in Omaha.
Live, John? Okay.
In Omaha, yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Tons of rain, ugly weather the last like 2 weeks, and it's cold now.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I'm in Denver, so not much better.
Snow. Aren't you getting snow tonight?
We might. I've actually got a golf tournament tomorrow morning, so that's going to be. I think it's supposed to be 30 degrees when we tee off.
Nice. My boss is in Denver, and I'm trying to convince them into transferring me over there. So
nice.
I want to go there. That's the goal. But
so
that's where my boss.
Let's talk a little bit about the difference between you have the 550, Keith. You've got the 100.
The 100,
John,
yep.
100, right, John?
And there is a 110 or a 150 that I think comes with a GPS.
Okay. And so John, with yours, a 4 instead of 6, and then from a component standpoint, because it's a higher model and 6, with Keith, he's got 6. does it come with more? I assume more motors and some of those kinds
Exactly.
of things. But are there additional features? What else can you plug into that thing and add to it,
Go ahead, John.
John?
Oh, I'm not 100% sure. It's actually the standard motor, or not motor, brain that comes with it, the flight controller. You can actually upgrade it a few echelons. It's got a plug for GPS. It has, I think, 8 channels technically, but it comes with 5 in use, I believe.
That's right.
And you can update it though. So you could buy a better controller, and then you could do more things. Because when you add more channels, then you could do things like stability, the return home, the battery. You can have it track the battery on your if you have a better controller. Um, and then of course it comes with more of the ESCs, which are not cheap. Those are like $40 a piece.
And what are those?
Those are the electronic speed controllers.
Okay.
That is what runs the motors, because the motors are brushless. So a brushless motor has no control, whereas a brushed motor has control but is much slower and wears out quicker. So these basically tell the motor how many revolutions per minute, etc. And they help keep things stable. So you got 2 more of those plus 2 more motors, which are about between 20 and $50 a piece.
Yep.
And then the props are nothing. I think I have like 5 sets of extra props because
Yeah, me too now.
yeah. And then also even like the arms, the cool thing is that once you actually have the kit, all the little bits are not very expensive, at least not on their own, but that's where you end up spending money because you can buy a battery for $20, a decent one. You can buy the multi-Wii controller, which is way better for, I think I spent 50 and I got, or no, it was 80, but I got everything with it, including the Bluetooth and the GPS, all that stuff.
Nice.
So you've got options.
Let me
It's
so let me
expandable.
let me throw a picture up on screen there.
Mhm.
I'm assuming. Does this
Oh,
look
it does have a
like?
smaller. Yep, that's exactly right. And
Okay.
so you can see the flight controller is smaller than the one he showed. So it probably has less functionality than the other one does.
Okay. So walk me through the parts here. This is this piece down
Yep,
here.
that's the flight controller.
That's the
No,
flight.
that's the radio.
Oh, you're right. That is the receiver radio. Yeah, the flight controller's in the middle. Good call.
And it's
Yep,
buried. The flight controller is what you held up, Keith, right? That
that's
that
right.
box, the one that you held up. Okay.
Exactly. Typically, it's just a chip, but this happens to be the new flight controller that they put in a box, which makes it harder to figure out which one you own.
Hmm.
Yeah, and which one's broken and which one's not, right?
And
Yeah.
there's actually, I think, a handful of different flight controllers that they've used. Whatever one they kind of get cheaper. I think they work like Dell in that they just put whatever parts they could find the cheapest that day. So you might have 3 of the same model with completely different parts.
Yeah, and that was really painful because, people ask me which controller I have. It's like, I have no idea. The instructions were incorrect.
Hmm.
And, everybody's got their own opinion on which one it is when you show them a picture of it. So it's
Yep,
that
same here.
even that was just frustrating.
I think
John,
I finally determined that mine was the KK copter
Okay.
in mine, but God only knows the
Yeah.
person who got one right after me might have got to multi-wii or who knows.
so
Yeah.
this sounds like the Wild West, right? Where nobody really
It
knows
is.
what's going on, kind of
Yeah.
deal.
Well, and
Um,
this particular company is kind of, what they're making is a clone of a, trying to get the brand. You probably know it.
I
I
can't
mean,
help you.
oh, okay. They're a clone of, it's going to hit me in a minute, of the most popular brand, the ones that make uh, the drones that are like
Oh
$2,000.
yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah,
I can't remember.
it's gonna hit me in a second. I can't think of the name. It's driving me
Yeah.
nuts. But anyways, they have basically copied it. So the arms are not as good of plastic, and the motors are a little cheaper. The ESCs are actually about the same. And those are actually the ESCs it comes with are really good. Surprisingly, they're expensive ones. But all the other stuff is just whatever they could find the cheapest.
Yeah.
John, your base model, I assume, was how much? 249,
239, I think,
two
is what I
thirty
spent.
nine, and
Mhm.
and Keith, how much for the hex?
So I bought mine. I can't remember how much it is. Almost ready to fly, but it was 389 with the low end radio.
Mhm.
That
389. Okay.
so with that I had to buy the only two things I had to buy for it was, well, yeah, I had to buy eight AA batteries for the radio, and then I had to buy a charger for the battery. It comes with a LiPo battery, lithium polymer,
That's right.
but it doesn't come with a charger, and I spent about $45 on the charger.
Oh, see, I found a charger for $10.
Nice, yeah, I bet there's
But
some
it was
deals
on
out there.
I found some site that you can buy stuff cheaply, but there's a catch. It actually has, they have warehouses like one here and one in like Russia and one in like China and one in like Germany. And you can go to the site and you'll find, oh, great, I found this stuff for like $10. And then you go to check out and it's like $100 in shipping because you found it in the Russian one or wherever. So
Yeah,
you can actually, I can't remember the site, but there's dozens of them and ways to get the stuff for cheaper if you want to spend the time looking.
right. And I didn't have the patience. I'm an Amazon addict, and
Yeah.
I do most of my shopping on Wednesday night
Mm-hmm.
for the
To
weekend.
get it
So
by Friday. Mm-hmm. I'm the same. I get Amazon Prime and I buy all my stuff in the
yeah,
middle of the
yeah,
week. Yeah.
exactly. I've been good to Jim's account, I think.
Well, to the Tech Scholarship Fund
I
account.
mean the Tech
Yes,
Scholarship Fund, exactly.
yes. Let's be. So, Keith, this is, and of course, the Tech Scholarship Fund appreciates that. What? So we're looking at your. This is I think your version here. So
That's
this
right.
is the hex that's here.
That's right.
The red is supposed to be front. Is that
That
right?
that's the principle, so you can tell which direction's the front.
Okay.
And it's funny actually when you fly it. I always I set it down like in my yard, pointing west. I'm facing the copter. It's to the west of me, and I point the arms facing west of me. But even if it spins around, when I push the lever forward, it always goes west, no matter which direction the helicopter's facing. So
That's
I,
nice. Mine does not do that.
I,
Mine will
there's
go whichever direction that the arms are pointing.
yeah, I think it's an easy setting or something. I'm not sure exactly
I
what
need to
did
do
that,
that.
but yeah, so the compass recalibrates for it, so it's
Yeah.
really cool.
And that's the advantage to that multi-Wii that I got because you can do that with that one.
Sure,
And I'm sure I could with the KK, but I haven't tried
right,
because it was working. So I was really leery to mess with it
sure.
because I read so many horror stories about you change
Oh,
one setting and it never flies again. So I was like, I don't want to mess with it till I break it. And then I actually had a flyaway is what happened. And the
oh
flyaway
no,
is I had it pretty high in the air. I was kind of showing off because I was out with my in-laws, and I had it a good 300-400 feet up, and was flying it around and circled it above my mother-in-law's head, and it worked great.
right,
And then I like went to turn, and when you turn, it'll tilt like this,
right.
and it just didn't respond anymore. So
Ah,
it went like this and just took off. Fortunately, I was at a hilly park, so it finally came down at the top of the hill where I saw it come down. I
yeah,
had to dig through, 3-foot weeds or, what do they call it, wild grass to get to it and, all the spiders and everything that was out there. But we found it,
very cool.
fortunately, and one of the arms was broken.
Nice.
So,
That beats buying a new one for sure.
yeah. Yeah, the arms are, I literally, I ordered an entire new kit, like with 4 arms and the circuits and everything for, I think, $20.
Yeah,
So
I
it
think
has
I've
backups.
yeah props. I think the arms were $4 or $5.
Hmm.
I have a hard time keeping track of those castle nuts, and they're definitely not worth $5 a piece. That's
I
been
know. Those are really overpriced.
What
But
are
I've
these
read that you can just
razors?
go to Home Depot. Well, I guess not Home Depot right now. Go to
right.
Lowe's or something. But
Yeah,
you
or
can
pay
buy
cash.
those. Yeah, pay cash. But you can buy those. And it's not those same castle nuts, but as long as you get a lock washer with it,
Okay.
apparently those actually work better. Or if
Yeah,
you use Loctite, they work good. I just bought like 10 of those castle nuts for $5 a piece.
right.
And yeah,
Yeah, there's the nut.
yeah.
Those are $5 a piece, and
Hmm.
That's
I
robbery.
I assume they're metric. The one thing interesting about these helicopters, the way they fly, is the props alternate direction. So every other prop is going clockwise, every other one's going counterclockwise.
Hmm.
So by nature, half of them are loosening every time something happens.
Hmm.
So you've really got to stay on them and keep them tight. and I was going to use Loctite, but I was breaking so many props, I didn't want to. I didn't want to Loctite them on
Oh
because then
yeah.
I'd damage the motors replacing my props.
It's the Phantoms that I'm thinking of, the Phantom
There you
2s.
go. That's right.
Those ones, which are made by DJI, and they also make one that's like identical to both the Quad and the Hex that we have. That's a
Okay.
different model. That was kind of the early ones. But those ones now on the Phantoms, they've gotten to the point where they got smart and made reversed nuts or reversed bolts. So the counterclockwise ones and the clockwise ones are both actually tightening as they fly.
Right. The guy that really hooked me up with the flight controller said I could get even these motors, and this is the motor.
Mm-hmm.
But he told me that even these motors could be ordered with backwards threads on them.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, knowing my luck, trying to figure it out, I'd have them all backwards, so I'd lose all. I'd have them all six go in the wrong direction, and I'd lose the nuts.
That sounds about right. Well, the cool thing is that the software for MultiWii, which works with pretty much all of these, you hook it up with no props on it, and you turn it on. It will actually show you on a picture exactly which ones are going clockwise, which ones are going counterclockwise, what the orientation is. That's I almost have had more fun messing around with the software sometimes. Sitting here, oh cool, look, it shows it tipping sideways. Oh cool, and it actually does like on the graphics. So
Yeah, exactly. And I do have mine hooked up. We'll run. I'm using a different. Of course, this guy sent me a different piece of software, but we'll run that here in a little bit and kind of show the heads-up displays and stuff. It's really cool.
Yeah, that's cool. Let me ask you a couple questions. So for the average guy getting into this, this because these are really cool. What have you guys learned? What kind of advice would you pass on? So somebody's looking at these, it's somewhere between, 300 or let's say 200 and $500 for these, right?
Sure.
Plus repair parts.
Yeah.
Start with like the little $30 one that you buy that you can fly inside and it's about this big. Just start with one of those because the flying is the principles are the same, but they're way cheaper, and when you break it, you aren't so sad. And I actually did that backwards. I bought the expensive one, then bought the $40 one, and played with it until it broke, and then flew my other one and was way better at flying it. So that's one recommendation for sure.
What are the name, John? What's the name of those? The cheap ones?
Let me look. I just bought one. So let me look at my Amazon history. I bought one not too long ago.
Can't remember. Yeah, there's a company that makes a decent one of those. I've had a couple of them. I can't remember. I can find it
that's
too.
good advice, right? Start with some training wheels and work your way up, right?
Yeah,
Yes,
for sure. Definitely.
See if you
And
can
I'm
track
looking
that
through my history
down.
right now.
Yeah.
Nice.
Of course, I've got like 50
throw that.
pages of it.
I should be.
Oh, here it is. So the one I got was the Syma X3, Syma X3, 4-channel, and it actually will fly outside. And my son can fly it, who's 5, and he crashes it, but he can fly it. And it was, let's see what I paid for it. I don't remember.
It says 25 here on
Yep.
25.50.
So here, 25.50. I think it's less than what I paid. I think I paid like 35 for it.
Shoot, I might have to try one of these. At 25
Yeah,
bucks.
$25. Now this one here has a single motor that turns all of the props through like gears that kind of, and it's cheap, it's chintzy, and it will break, but it's $25.
Right.
So who cares?
Yeah, it cost me that to replace a battery when I wrecked mine.
Mm-hmm. And you can fly it inside, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
So when it's like right now, it's raining out, and I couldn't even think about
Is it
flying.
raining now?
Yep, I can hear it on my skylight.
Oh man.
Yep.
John's not far from me, so that means it's raining outside of my house too.
Yeah, Jim's in the basement, so he doesn't have to hear it.
I don't even know what's going on outside. I have no idea.
That's nice though, come winter time.
Yeah.
No, this is a good spot. I mean, it's cool in the summer and warm in the winter. So
No, that's true.
I'm all about it. So, John, advice: go with an inexpensive one to learn on. Can you seriously learn on those? I mean, are they
Yeah,
good
because they
enough
fly
to
the
learn on?
same. They still have the same controls, so you get used to that. And it still is like when you get turned around and you turn the wrong way, it goes the wrong way, and you start getting used to that, and that helps a lot.
Yeah, that was one advantage playing with the cars for years helped me with is you learn really quick as soon as it's coming towards you, left and right change.
Yeah. And so like if you've ever played Halo, you can put them either way. You can have it so when you look up, it goes down, and vice versa, and it's similar. You got to get your brain working that way. It can be tough.
Okay. What else? What have you learned that you would pass on to somebody thinking about doing this?
You, if you think you're doing it wrong, then check with somebody and find someone that can give you a straight answer that'll spend some time with you.
Hmm.
The first night, if I'd have found somebody that would have taken 10 minutes to check it with me, we'd have known right away I had a bad controller, and it would have been a quick warranty issue. I think I went through about $150 worth of repair parts,
Oh.
Hmm.
just to find out that it wasn't this time.
And so when you did find it was a controller, was that a warranty? Did they replace that under warranty, or did you have to buy
No,
new?
it was too late. I bought it through Amazon. The warranty is the same as the return policy. It's been a mess.
Wow.
Actually, to be honest with you, my plan is to order the duplicate flight controller and return mine, and
I gotcha. Yeah.
then see if I can get a couple bucks for the replacement. At least I can
Right.
get a few bucks, recover a few bucks, because
Sure.
I'm not trying to cheat the system. It was bad from the beginning. It was too late before I figured out it was truly defective.
And that thing I just sent to you in the little group chat there
Yeah.
says generic NWC multi-Wii SE flight controller with GPS, et cetera, et cetera. That's the controller that I bought to replace mine.
Oh, okay.
Might even be something worth looking at, but that's
Sure.
where you get to have the multi-Wii, and it was $84. But that included the USB, the the Bluetooth,
The Bluetooth, yeah.
yeah, like a little LED that goes on it that you can get specs from, and the controller itself and the GPS.
Yeah, that's
So
cool.
that was all that stuff and that's about right.
Yeah.
I had fun with that.
Yeah, mine. I've got the GPS chip with mine. He actually loaned me that as well. I want to do a lot. I want to learn to fly this thing before I let it think for itself.
Yeah, that's smart.
Yeah.
Although I'm excited to mess with the waypoints, and that's what's cool. So you get like a
Yeah.
Google map, and you say, I want it to go from here to here and stop, and then come back to here or whatever. That sounds like fun.
Exactly. Have you put a camera on yours yet, John?
No, I have not.
Yeah, me either.
And I'm glad I haven't because I would have broke a $300 GoPro by now.
You can't break those things.
Yeah, that's true. Supposedly.
They're pretty tough. We did some judging at an engineer career fair where at UNL, the University of Nebraska at Lincoln, where they were building these things to go, and the waypoints were really important. And so a farmer could they create these manual waypoints that they would set out in a field, and then they could run this with a camera. They'd run the copter with a camera, and it would know where to go, and then it would run its thing, and they would take telemetry from it and watch the cameras, and they could get to places they couldn't get to, and it was all predetermined and stuff, and then it would come back. And so they were working on this idea where the beforehand you could print the waypoints out, put the waypoints around the perimeter of it, and then it would fly to do some things to figure out where it's at, and then fly a predetermined pattern to do whatever you wanted to do, right? Which was pretty cool. I thought, it was like I was like, wow, that's actually, you put a camera on that thing, and if you need to monitor gigantic fields,
Mm-hmm.
right, send the copter out.
Right?
Yes, they do. And then
Yeah.
they get arrested for using it for commercial purposes. But you can technically, I mean, that's what they do. And that's what they want to do with movies. That's what they want to do with there's a lot of uses that they can find for them. A lot of realtors now are using them to show houses from a better view. Hmm. There's things to use them for.
Very
Yeah.
cool. Very cool. Keith,
Yes, sir.
John, any other lessons learned before we kind of dive in? Keith, I know you've got some things you want to show there.
Sure. Not really. It's just be patient. That's the thing is the first night I got it, I took it out, wrecked it, and I'm 3-4 days waiting for parts before I could fire it up again. So that's
It sounds like you almost need a training box, that's about 20 by 20, and you tie strings onto this thing, and it's really loose. And
yeah. I'll find it. I'll find it here in a bit. There's actually a guy that he's on YouTube a lot. with some of these copters, and he's actually built a trainer basically. So he basically puts the copter up on a tripod with a broom going down in a hole basically. So it's attached to this broom handle, and it can actually fly up, and it's fighting a bungee cord, but it's virtually impossible to wreck.
Hmm.
So
I think I've seen his videos. Yeah.
I'm sure you have, but that'd take 2 days to put together. And again, talking about patience is coming up with the parts to do that before you decide to just go out and put it in the yard and see if it flies.
Well, that's really it, right? I mean, you get this thing and you're like, man, I just want to get it in the air. And it sounds to me like you should do a little homework before you throw this thing in the air, right? I mean, that's what it sounds like to me.
You bet.
Yeah, before you spend $300 or lose $300, just think about it. Because that flyaway I had, it could have went into the lake.
Right.
That could have been it. It could have been gone.
Or it could have hurt somebody.
Or yeah, it could have landed on, and there was joggers on the path, like 50 feet to the side.
John, where were we at?
I want to say Zarinsky.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
it's right. Yeah, it was Zarinsky.
Yep.
And so there's that too. It could have
There's
landed.
a big lake there.
Yeah. Yeah,
That could
exactly.
have taken a drink for sure, and you weren't getting that back.
Yeah, luckily it landed in the natural grasslands that they have there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Were you
And
down
you probably could have got busted for walking over there then.
Yeah, it was, and there was full of spiders, which I didn't like either. So yeah, there's that too. We have like a spider epidemic here in Omaha this year.
Oh,
there's
I've killed
lot.
4 in my house tonight.
Yeah.
Oh, geez. Yeah, we've got a bunch here too.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was just the perfect year of moisture and
cool.
cool. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Keith, let's dive in a little bit. You said you got some screenshots of some tools that you can use. Can you throw those up on and can you walk through that for us?
You bet. I've actually got the GPS and all those things I told you about. I don't have GPS on this, but see if I can get it up here. So this is the software that I've actually got my helicopter plugged in right now. I don't know if you've got it up.
We can see it now.
But
you bet.
yeah, so you can see on the left side there's a kind of a heads-up display showing the horizon, and it says disarmed. So that's something that we should mention, John. Is these helicopters are always in, I guess you'd call it standby mode.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I could turn on the radio. So you actually have to arm the you have to arm it. So even sitting idle, this thing, the props typically spin, even though it's sitting on the ground. Now I've got it armed, so if I had the battery hooked up to it, the blades would actually be spinning right now, even though it's sitting on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And then you idle it up to get it to fly or whatever. So if it turns upside down or you ignore it for a certain point, it actually shuts the props back off. Because obviously it's dangerous just leaving them spin.
Because they spin fast and it hurts.
I've not been there yet.
Don't.
I'm sure I will, but
yeah, I had to unplug my battery because I couldn't get it to turn off with the thing, and cut my. It didn't hurt. I didn't cut myself, but it didn't feel good.
Oh, I bet. And then you can see down below it shows the altitude, and it's pretty accurate. I've got it sitting on a toolbox, so it's actually sitting 8 or 10 inches off the ground. So figure it in metric system, it's showing 0.4 meters. That's pretty accurate for the size of that circuit board.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you look at the horizon, I'm going to tip the nose of it up. I'm actually moving the helicopter around, and I mean it's showing exactly where this thing is pointing. It's an amazing technology for such a tiny circuit board.
And what's even crazier is that all of the stuff that does this, at least originally, was literally hacked out of a Wii controller. That's why they call them multi-Wii. It's just the accelerometers and all the stuff that's in those nunchucks for the Wiis. That's what it is. Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy.
Yeah. And I see you lifted it up.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I got it. I got 4 feet high right now, probably. So that's pretty accurate for sitting in my living room. And again, the sensor. I don't know how big the sensor is. It's
Microscopic. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a barometer is what that one is.
yeah, the barometer's like the size,
Like,
I don't know, the tip of a Q-tip or something. It's amazingly tiny on that circuit board.
Lopta is asking, does it have an accelerometer?
It does.
mhm.
It's got an accelerometer, a barometer, a compass, a gyroscope. I think that's it.
Hold on one sec. Keep talking.
Sorry.
But yeah,
Is
that
that
sounds right. Yeah,
okay?
that sounds right. And then the more money you spend, the more parts they might, or the more sensors they might have. I think that multi-wee one I have, actually it'll say on the little thing. Let me look here. Um, but you can go ahead while I look that
Okay.
up.
Yeah, no problem. So yeah, this is kind of showing all the flight data. I guess I could expand it a little bit and make it a little larger. At the very top, you can see the compass. I mean, it's amazingly accurate. I could set it right at north, and when you first get it, you have to calibrate everything. We were when I first got this flight controller, it came from a gentleman in South Texas. When I first got the flight controller, we were having problems with the compass. It wasn't accurate for some reason. We could never get it calibrated right. And it basically works the same as your the compass on your phone when every once in a while you have to spin your phone around and flip it upside down and do all
Yep.
that. This compass works the same way. We
Yep.
finally figured out that we had to set the coordinates for Denver different than South Texas.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
You
Yeah.
actually had to set my true GPS latitude and longitude, and as soon as we did that, the compass was exactly right on.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I've had similar issues with mine, and you end up having to recalibrate it where you have to like spin it around slowly and then turn it over, and it recalibrates. You have to put it in recalibrate mode and then do all that stuff.
That's right.
So
Yeah,
let's see. I have the features, and it says um, a six-axis gyro, which is the accelerometer,
okay, that's
and
right.
that senses the motion, and then it has a three-axis magnetometer,
Yep,
um, and a altimeter, which is actually a barometer, if I'm not mistaken,
that's right.
and then and then micro USB, um, and I think that's the general parts.
Yeah,
Sounds right?
and yep. And using this piece of software, I've not set the GPS up for my location. It's actually um, still set for where this came from. But you can see it shows distance to home. It actually shows how many meters it is from where I've told it this thing that the home location is.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the software, like you mentioned, John. You can set the waypoints and all that stuff.
Yep.
It's just incredible.
And you got your Google Maps, and so then you can avoid trees and stuff like that, or
Yeah,
buildings, which is nice
yeah,
because otherwise it's going to go smacking into a tree if you don't tell it to avoid it.
exactly.
And I've had that happen. It smacked into a tree in front of my house and tumbled down on top of my van and put a nice scratch on the top of it. My wife was not happy about
Oh,
that. So,
ouch. Man,
Oh
these things
man.
sound like they're. I mean, you're not. You guys aren't selling us on this stuff.
we're warning you. We're not trying to, it's
Yeah,
it's not for the weak of heart.
yeah, exactly. So radio calibration. I've got my radio on, so you can actually see. I think there we go. So you can see as I adjust the
I have a
throttle.
crying baby. I'll be back.
All right,
Okay,
John.
yeah. Just mute, John.
So you can see I'm adjusting the throttle up and down. I don't know how clear that shows on the screen. Um, and then the yaw left and right. I mean, you totally calibrate these things with the computer, give it all the parameters and all the extremities of how your control works before you take it out. So if you program it to a new radio or something, you can totally calibrate it, down to just pinpoint controls.
Yeah. Keith, I don't understand. Okay, so you got your PC and you got that control to Horizon and stuff, and you were showing it.
Right.
Is that just for calibration purposes? You're not looking at that while you're trying to fly this thing, right?
No, that's correct. It's
Okay.
it's hardwired into the controller just through a USB. It's got a micro USB on board, so that's just for calibration before you go outside.
Okay. So you would pick up the device, move it around,
That's
make
right.
sure it's calibrated properly. Okay.
exactly.
Yeah.
That way you don't crash it when you take it outside.
Very good, right? Because without calibration, it's just going to drive itself right into the ground.
Right, exactly.
What are we looking at now?
So this is another map. You can actually set a flight plan, and this is not, again, this is not where I'm at, but you can actually set waypoints. This critically, you can set the altitude. So if you wanted to go to this point, this position 2, you can actually, you know, delete these waypoints. You can tell it to sit there for a certain amount of time. You can have it go to that waypoint and you know, rotate 360 degrees, which for playing with a helicopter is kind of silly, but if you think about actually filming, you know, how handy that could be to take it to a certain point, like you guys were talking about with farming or something like that. So you could take it to, you know, your extents. You have it go down one. If you want to inspect your fences, you can actually, you know, draw a line for your entire fence line, and you know, have it go from waypoint 2 to waypoint 3, you know, facing directly south. When it gets to 3, you want to rotate 90 degrees, you know, to go to the east to follow that fence line to waypoint 4. You know, or if you're filming a crowd or something, you can tell it to rotate 360 degrees or whatever.
Right.
There's also ways to control you know, it takes more channels, more things to do, but you could actually control the camera independently from the device as well.
Yeah, you can, in that way you could have it going a path and then turning the camera to kind of pan as you get some really
That's
interesting
right.
shots that way.
Yeah, exactly. You know, up above, you can, you know, picture, you know, I see Dave using this at his football games here in a couple of years.
Yeah. Yeah. It'll be interesting. You know, you know what's going to happen when we got all these things flying in the air.
Right, exactly.
You know?
It's going to be a problem for sure. It's
yeah.
you know, with just a few of us morons out there, it's not too big of a deal.
Not at the moment. It's not. No, and I think, you know, one of the things the university systems have been working on with these two are communication between drones or between copters, so that
Right. Yeah.
presence is known, so everyone knows where they're going, and so especially if you think about how handy these could be for search and rescue.
Oh,
So,
that'd be powerful.
right? I mean, you could run these things out instead of sending people out or planes. Right? You could
Sure.
send these out with cameras and then run them in a search pattern.
Right,
And
and I don't know if GoPro's got it, but you know, there's infrared cameras out there not much bigger than a GoPro that you could do the exact same thing with. So
yeah, and just start a search pattern, define the boundaries, and say, okay, you guys go. You guys go out and cover this area, and they start determining what the optimal search patterns are,
yeah, for
based
sure.
on how many they have. And I've even watched them do it where they would have 7 in an area, and they would need to peel 3 off to another
Wow.
search area, and so
Yeah.
3 would leave the group, and the group would reposition itself. Okay, I'm only 4 now, so how do we reposition ourselves for the optimal search pattern, and then keep going? And of
Sure.
course, they're not covering as much space, and so they would need to loop back on themselves. They keep track of what they've seen and where they've gone and those kinds of things. So
Wow.
it's pretty
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
No, that's crazy. It's
Yeah, very interesting. And most of that's all simulated. They don't really have devices out there doing that in a lot of
sure,
cases. They're simulating it. And
but
they're
they're
trying to write the software to help these swarming patterns.
right. No, and
That's what
yeah,
they
the
call it.
technology's there between, you know, it wouldn't take much. This is just a toy basically, but yeah, you could truly have this stuff communicating with each other, and I don't know, it's just crazy.
Yeah. No, that's some of the stuff they're thinking about doing with them. So
Yeah.
very, very cool. Anything else on the screen you want to show us?
I don't think so. That's kind of the extent of it. Again,
Yeah.
there's a lot of things you can configure and change around. With a GPS, actually, with what I have now, I can lift it up to a certain point. It doesn't work very well under 10 or 15 feet. But if I get up to like 30 feet, I can flip one of my switches, and you can control what all your switches do. But one of the switches I can set is to hold it at a certain altitude, and basically all I have to do is fly it around, and it will not change the altitude. So you can really, if you're doing some filming or something, you can see different switches here. Like this is just set for stabilize and altitude hold. That's the only two settings I have on this device. But if I put it on altitude hold, it'll actually stay at a certain position, and if it's not going to drop on you, you can truly focus on your camera angles and just flying the unit around to different positions without your left hand just trying to keep the thing at a certain altitude.
Mm-hmm. Do you have the controller there?
I do. I've got it in front of me.
Can you flip over and show us the controller?
Sure.
Sorry, I interrupted you there.
No, you're good. Just a second
Gotta
here.
figure it out. Over left
Exactly.
hand.
I've got
left-hand side there. It'll be the green.
Yeah, I've got 45 windows open.
Yes, it happens. It'll be the green. You need to turn off the screen sharing on the Hangout.
Right, it's red actually on this one.
Red?
Yeah, the green is just the chat. So.
Oh, there you go.
So here's the radio, and no antennas anymore. They've finally figured out, cell phones can reach dozens of miles. Wi-Fi can go all that distance. They finally incorporated the antennas just inside. So, this is looking at it backwards. This is the throttle. It's just like your RC car, basically. So your throttle up and down. This actually rotates the helicopter. If in a level position, this just rotates the helicopter. And then this is forward, backwards, right or left or right. I'm not sure which it is. This is initial settings. You really don't want to mess with these afterwards. So there's one that controls like the throttle reversing. Think about your old RC helicopters or airplanes. Sometimes you have the servo one direction, sometimes it's the other direction. So, if this is throttled down and this is throttle up, you just reverse the servo switch, and that recalibrates that for you. And then there's two switches. So this is a 6-channel radio. Each one of these is 2 channels. So this left and right is one servo, up and down is another servo. So you've got 2 and then 4. And then the other 2 switches, I don't know if you remember earlier, I switched it from altitude hold to stabilize. That the switch does that. And then there's one more switch here that could do some other things. It could turn on and off the GPS. It could turn on and off the camera. So it's basically an extra, what they call a channel, that you could do random things with. Look at the picture.
John's back. I should tell him that taking care of children take priority over podcasting. So he doesn't have to come back on here at all.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's fun. That's fun.
That's great, John.
One of the things, one of the hazards of trying to podcast with a family, and so it's not unprecedented. We've seen kids show up before in the past.
She's here. This is little Vera, and she's drinking.
All right. This is the one making the noise, huh?
Yep.
Yeah.
Was I not muted?
No, you're fine. I just knew that you wouldn't have moved unless she was making noise.
Yes. Yeah. It's impossible to tell when they're this age, but she was wearing pink pants, so
it's a good clue. I just want to make sure. It's always good to ask.
That's awesome. Congratulations, John. That's great.
Oh, thank you. Yep. This is number 3 and number last.
Wow.
They're awesome, but they're a lot of work.
They are. What? How old are your other 2?
The other 2, my other daughter is 2, a little over 2, and then my son is 5. And they're excited because in less than 2 weeks we'll be in Disney World.
Very nice.
So yeah,
Very cool.
we're getting excited about that.
Very nice.
I know I have a light right behind me. I can see it like reflecting. Maybe this one.
Yeah.
A little,
right.
Or make it worse.
So you're going to multitask, a little dad work, a little podcasting.
Sure.
Very
My wife will
nice.
be here in like 5 minutes, and then she can take the baby.
So she's out on Thursday nights?
She's in school.
Oh,
She's
okay.
getting her master's in theater right now.
Oh, wow. Where, at Iowa Western or where?
No, UNO.
UNO. I
UNO.
didn't know they had a theater program there.
Yeah, they have a really good one. She's an adjunct there and everything. So. Yeah.
Very nice.
But now she's directing a play, so Thursday nights is just the start of this. It will start being like every night in about 2 weeks after we get back from Disney. It's on. So she has to be gone every night to direct. It'll be fun.
Mr. Mom, you fill
Yep.
it in.
I'm gonna figure it out.
Well, it's not this not your first rodeo, so
No,
they
no.
get a lot easier.
Yeah, they do.
I
They
think
get a
as
lot
they go
easier.
along. Keith, let's wrap up the copter. Anything else you want to throw in there, John? Anything
Yeah.
else you want to throw in before we
No, he
wrap
had
it
a
up?
great little setup. Well, everything he was saying there was perfect. It was just perfect. So,
Appreciate it.
and he had a good description of everything. And I actually have the same controller. So
Okay.
mine is the exact same one.
Nice. I got some grief from the experts for using this. They're like,
Of
"Oh,
course.
that's the junk one that comes with it. You really want the $600 one." And
Sure. Of
it's like,
course you
yeah,
do.
I'm sure,
You're
but
like, I gotta make this look. I just gotta make this work.
Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
exactly.
Can you? I'm already in the doghouse because it's
Oh,
cost me twice as much as the thing originally cost,
Hmm.
yeah,
right? And
yep.
then yeah, it's well, but okay. Let's put this in perspective, right? If
Mhm.
you most of us are computer guys, and most of
Hmm.
us have home servers that
Yeah,
we may not really need. And
exactly.
so you're going to drop 4 to 6 bills. Not everybody, but most of us have probably dropped 4 to 6, maybe 8 to 12 bills
Hmm.
on some of those, as I see Keith cringe, on some of that. If you're a podcaster, I got to buy podcasting equipment to make this work. It's not cheap to replace microphones and arms. We were talking about that earlier before you came on, John. You
Yep.
got to get some equipment.
Yep.
So, if you golf, got to buy
Yeah.
clubs. If you ski, I mean, hey,
Hmm.
a copter is a ski pass, right?
Right.
Yeah, there was actually like a perfect article about this in New York Times, I want to say yesterday, that was like an op-ed type piece, and the guy talked about how the patriarchal male adult grown up is no longer, and it was great. And he's basically never really was, but the guy who hunts and fishes and is a father, that's doesn't really exist now. We all like to play with toys and watch cartoons. I know I do. I still watch cartoons, and I just watched what was that Guardians Return of the Guardians or whatever with my kids
Guardians of the
tonight.
Galaxy.
No,
Oh,
the it's like an animated one, and it's like Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny, and they all like save the Earth from the boogie monster or something. It was actually pretty good. I enjoyed it. So
Nice.
well, certainly gadgets. This is the era of gadgets,
Right.
right?
hmm
And this is why this is Home Gadget Geeks, right? Because we're
hmm
in that. The last decade, I think, was all about PCs and hardware and smartphones, and those are now just kind of commodity items. We just assume we have those. Oh,
hmm
yeah, and Keith, good. You answered that. They had asked earlier, how long do these batteries last? I assume you can get extra battery packs for them that might
Yep.
last a little bit longer.
I don't think so. The problem is to get a more milliamp type battery is more weight, and yeah, you're really stuck with these. I'm
Okay.
I'm sure the professional stuff you can get something,
Yeah.
but not
Yeah.
for these toys.
Yeah, about 20 minutes. If you want to go for a long distance or for a long time, you need a fixed wing, and then that's a whole other. Yeah, then you could go miles, but that's a whole
Right.
nother
Why,
spectrum.
why does the fixed wing? Is it more efficient?
Yeah, well, it's an airplane,
Okay. Oh,
Right.
I see
basically.
what
So
you're
it's a
saying.
single motor,
Like
and
a
it can hold a
drone.
lot more weight,
Like a drone.
like a
Yeah.
real drone.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
And you can do that. It's a doable thing, and people do it. But yeah,
Wow.
more money and a lot more skill and all that.
And usually they're governments.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
governments or big organizations. Yep.
so John, are you using 14-volt batteries as well?
I I want to say yes, it's 14 volts.
Okay.
No, they're the 12-volt ones for mine.
So yours are 2 or 3 cell.
Three cell.
3 cell.
Three
Okay.
cell. Hmm.
Mine uses 4 cells, so it's a little more expensive battery. Probably weighs a little more, but
Hmm.
I'm running 50% more,
Yeah.
spending 50% more motors too. So
Yeah, well, and that's the thing that I always say to people. They're like, it only lasts 15 minutes. Well, a radio control car probably has one motor, maybe two.
right,
I don't know. I mean, and that might run for half an hour.
right, and
And this
you run
is,
it till it
yeah,
stops. Where these
yeah,
you really want to bring it home before it stops.
yeah,
Before
you
it
do, or
just
else it
drops
falls.
out of the sky.
Yeah.
And it
Oh.
does. It will and does. Yes, absolutely. Yep.
Dr-
So
dr-
15 minutes is about what you're going to get. Even if you spend $2,500 on the top of the line Phantom 2 Vision Plus that has all these fancy gadgets, you're still looking at maybe 20 minutes at peak.
Okay.
Wow.
So,
Yeah. So short time span. By the way, John Drashna says Rise of the Guardians.
Rise of the Guardians. That's exactly right.
Nice.
It was actually a very entertaining movie. It was pretty cool. And
He's
Santa
the
Claus
winner.
was
Drashna
actually
is the
like
winner.
a total, like, he was like this big Russian guy with tattoos. It was pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah. And the bunny was Australian. It was a pretty funny movie.
About the only show I'm catching these days is This Old House. Still watch it. That's the
Oh.
one. That's the one show I have time for.
Oh, that's funny.
And
That's a good one.
that's kind of what I watch. This Old House. And I always want to go after I'm done watching it. I always want to go fix something.
Come to my house.
Hey, come by anytime, Jim.
Yeah.
Hey, I got plenty of projects here. I mean,
Oh
look,
my
there's a
God.
wall right there with no drywall on it.
Yep.
So
I got good at drywall. I remodeled 3 rooms. The first one, it looks horrid. The other 2 are so great. I can't believe it. I'm like, this looks like a professional did it. So you can do it. It can
You
get
get
better.
at it. I just
Yeah.
don't want to do 3 rooms to get better
No.
at it. So
It took me a
Right.
long time. Yeah.
Well, let me at least bring this recorded part in for a landing. I try to keep them an hour 20 minutes, and we're almost there. So let me guys hang tight for a second. Let me wrap up some stuff, and let me bring up. We have got some cool stuff going on here on the network, and let me just tell you. Besides the meetup and home server show and Surface Geeks and some of the podcasts that are going on the Geeks Network, just right here on Home Gadget Geeks. Well, let's just say on the Average Guy Network, we've got Cyber Frontiers going on now, which we've got every 2 weeks. And so if you were wondering, hey, where are we going with that? Christian and Ashton Webster now co-host of that with Christian. Same class, same age, equally as smart. See how I didn't play favorites there? Did you see how that worked? Equally as smart. And they are that we're doing this every other Monday night, and so if you want to get subscribed to that, that's really we'll do it live on Monday nights. But I know, and Ken asked if are there still new episodes of that? I'm assuming he's talking about Cyber Frontiers. Yeah, we just did one last week. So if you listened to him maybe a month ago or 2 months ago, and you haven't come back because it took us a while to get in rhythm, we're back in rhythm every other week on Cyber Frontiers. And that's going to get really, really interesting. You're going to want, if you're a nerd and a security nerd, John, we're going to have to get you on there. We're going to get you back. I know you're a busy guy, so we'll respect that throughout the fall here.
Monday nights are better though.
Okay. Well, we'll work on getting you back on. Those 2 guys are trying to get their feet, get their bearing, and so we'll get them on there. But we have that coming up, and so check the schedule. I actually have a schedule on the website now as well. If you want to head out and go to the right-hand column, there's lots of tools besides signing up and subscribing for the show in that way or subscribing for the newsletter. We have a brand new calendar that's out there if you want to go out and take a look and see what's coming up as far as shows that's going on. I keep it about a week or 2 out, so it's not way out, but a good way for you to keep up on what's going on. We've got some interesting stuff coming up just over the next 2 months, and we've got the guys from adsy.me coming on. They're the ones that make that kind of mobile app that you can create without having to go and use the Google, the Play Store, or have it go through the Apple Store. And you can create your own mobile app, and they got some interesting things going on with that. So we're going to check that out. Small little company, just 2 guys. Both in Europe, and they're going to stay up super late or early, depending on how you think about it, to be able to talk to us. That's coming up on the 25th, so that is in 2 weeks. No show next week, by the way. If you're listening, no show. I will be out of commission next week, and so nothing all week. I'll be out. And then we've got Addie coming on, and we have not had a female host in a long time here on Home Gadget Geeks. And so Addie will be on to talk to us about some video surveillance, and she just put in some. She's one of the gals I met through actually Ask the Podcast Coach, and I asked her if she'd come on and talk about the tech around video surveillance. And so she's going to come on if you want to do that. The guys from Uptime Robot are going to be on, which if you use Uptime Robot to measure the uptime of your website, we've talked about that before. Just go to uptimerobot.com if you want to check it out in advance. He is actually in Istanbul. Wow. And so we're going to broadcast him live from Istanbul, which would be kind of cool. I've never done it, never interviewed anybody from that area of the world. So Umit will be coming in and talking to us. And then one in October, I'm looking forward to Rich Hay, Dave McCabe. Dave McCabe's coming on Home Gadget Geeks. So I got Dave coming over. Yeah, pretty excited about that. He's always been booked and busy, and so I got Rich Hay. I asked Rich is going to come and kind of give us a Windows update. So if it's been a while, there's a lot going on. And of course, Rich is everything Windows, and so Rich is going to come on and talk about that, and so we're pretty excited about that. The other one I just will bring attention to, the week before Thanksgiving, we're going to have Ryan Parker back, and we're going to talk about Thanksgiving tech. So if you're in the United States and you celebrate Thanksgiving that fourth Thursday in November, and who doesn't? Even if you're in Canada, you should celebrate with us. It's another holiday, right? You should just take it. The Australians, they take I think they have 39 holidays, Keith.
Yeah,
I'm
agree.
pretty sure.
Totally.
I'm pretty sure. They probably celebrate all of theirs and all of ours and some from the UK. They do them all. But Ryan Parker's coming back to talk about some food tech, and so we're excited about that. So you'll want to stay up with what's going on here on Home Gadget Geeks. It's picking up speed. I've been reaching out both community podcasts as well as interviews, and so you'll want to stay up to date with all the stuff that's going on here. And then remind you to sign up for the newsletter. Don't forget about the meetup. Don't forget about the new Canada Amazon affiliate link with the Amazon CA. And then one more reminder that I am on Ask the Podcast Coach on Saturday mornings at askthepodcastcoach.com/live. A fun little podcast that we do, 9:30 Central, 10:30 Eastern. I just have a blast doing it. And Dave Jackson is just an all-around good guy. In fact, I saw Randy out here, Randy Cantrell, who joins us out there. Mike Howard joins us out there. See if there's anybody else. Ken, I think you've maybe shown up there once or twice.
I've been there. I've been there a couple times.
Keith,
I usually get up just in time for you guys to sign off.
Yeah. Well, hey, 9:30, 8:30 for you.
Right.
That's not the early. I mean, that's not the latest podcast time to do it. But Dave and I enjoy doing that. So we get on every Saturday morning to talk podcasting and just fun stuff like that. So if you're a podcaster or you want to join us, talk about it, join us then. All right, that'll do it for the recorded version of the program. We're right at 1:20. And you guys can hang around as long as you can, and we'll do the post show. Remember, you don't get the post show unless you come out to the live show, or there's something in the post show that's really funny. Then it makes it into the recorded show. But you don't get the post show unless you come out for the live show. We're live every Thursday except next week at 8 p.m. Central, 9 Eastern, out at the Average Guy TV live. Good night, everybody.